All right, well, welcome to the Writers Center. My name is Zach Powers. I'm the Director of Communications here, and it's my honor tonight to welcome Kayla Rae Whitaker, author of The Animators, to our facility here in Bethesda, Maryland. Kayla is this year's winner of the McLaughlin-Esstman-Stearns First Novel Prize, and so we've been joined right now by the founder and organizer of the prize, Neal Gillen, as well as Barbara Esstman, one of the judges. And I'm going to hand over right away to Neal so that he can talk a little bit about the prize and this wonderful book that's won it. Neal?
Thank you, Zach. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. First off, I want to congratulate Margaret Mullaney, our executive director, who did a great job in keeping the Writers Center going amidst the construction and moving many classes to another site. I also want to thank the other capable staff members who kept things going in the dust and rubble. Laura Spencer, Amy Freeman, Zach Powers, Grace Mott, and others who assisted in this seemingly Sisyphean task. All of you carried it off and helped create a wonderful venue for writers and their readers. Grace Mott, who handled the responsibility of coordinating the First Novel Prize these past 2 years, has done an outstanding job. I extend to her my utmost gratitude. When she took the task on last year, she had no records of how it was done or knowledge of how to do it. She had no one on staff to turn to, but in all the confusion, she got it done. She reached out to me, and we went from there. I will admit, however, that from the outset of the judging process, she relied on me to read 19 books in the first round, but she found the judges. The submissions were a record number, and the quality of the writing was outstanding. Of all the books that I read, I gave only one a perfect score, which happened to be the winner, The Animators, by Kayla Rae Whitaker. I would add that The Animators can be found in all of the Montgomery County libraries. The Writers Center is a place of sustenance. Those who come here are nourished by the wisdom, talent, and dedication of the exceptional faculty. I've taken 11 workshops in the past 10 years, including 4 workshops on playwriting with Richard Washer last year. So it just goes to prove that you're never too old to learn something new. In my desire to honor the 3 exceptional individuals for whom the First Novel Prize is named, it was also my intent to encourage and acknowledge aspiring writers by recognizing their literary efforts. The 3 faculty members the award is named for were exceptional in their own right, but there are countless others on the Writers Center's distinguished faculty who are equally talented and committed to the legion of aspiring writers who attend its workshops each year. Many have been particularly fortunate to have been influenced by Anne McLaughlin, Barbara Esstman, and Lynn Stearns. My admiration for each of them is shared by those who have been privileged to come in contact with them here at the Writers Center. Their encouragement and insights have benefited countless writers. 2 years ago, we lost one of the stalwart 3, Anne McLaughlin. Anne came to the 2017 ceremony about 3 weeks before she died. She was in wonderful spirits that night, and Barbara and Lynn and I had the opportunity to talk to her at length. Little do we know, it would be our last conversation with Anne. Collectively, Anne McLaughlin, Barbara Esstman, and Lynn Stearns have inspired me in my writing and nourished countless students here at the Writers Center. Each of them is a great writer, exceptional teacher, and wonderful person. Therefore, I thought it fitting to honor them and the writer of the best first novel by linking them together. Tonight, we honor a talented writer, Kayla Rae Whitaker, with the McLaughlin-Esstman-Stearns First Novel Prize for her unique novel, The Animators. Now, Barbara Esstman, before introducing her, will explain why Ms. Whitaker's book was selected. Following that, Ms. Whitaker will be interviewed by Zach Powers and then read from her work. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, thanks to Neal for making the prize possible. That's a wonderful thing to honor new writers and give them a boost, both financially and in terms of ego. And we appreciate that the prize is substantial and the search is national. As one of the namesakes, I am called upon every year to be one of the finalist judges. And we've replaced Anne, though you can never really replace Anne, with Margot Backus. And Lynn Stearns and I are sequestered when they finally hand us the magic finalists. One thing about this year is we were so excited about this book for many reasons. You get a lot of books that for some reason have holes in them, or they're just somebody didn't edit where they should have. But this book is very well wrought, as Kenneth Brooks used to say. It's whole, it's substantial, it's got texture, and it's got everything you want from a novel. The language is fresh, but it's not logical. The dialogue is great. You can really hear people saying these things, and you really understand the personalities of the people saying them. It's an original investigation of a true friendship. But more than that, what makes it unusual, it's a friendship that's also involved in a business and in creative process. Beyond the relationship, this book operates on another level, which is what a really good book does, is that you get layers. And so not only do you get Sharon and Mel and all the complications of the many ways they interact, they become metaphorical for the creative process. I usually teach my students, you have a writer who finger paints on the walls and does crazy things, and then you have the editor to kind of get that under control. And so in this book, you have characters who interact in those roles. And so during the creative process, the crazy writer is contained by the practical editor. And the balance between them that exists produces art. And so it is lovely. I know that the staff was really excited. We picked this book when we finally come out of our little coven carrying the winner, like, you know, the baby Simba. And so I think it was unanimous that we loved this selection more than all the others, and we are very happy to have Kayla here tonight. So, thank you.
How tall are you?
Is that good?
That seems good, yes.
Okay.
There we go. All right, so just before you begin, just so people watching can know a little bit more about you,
Sure.
who the heck are you?
My name is Kayla Rae Whitaker. I was born and raised in Eastern Kentucky. I now live in Brooklyn, New York, and The Animators was hopefully my first book. I'm working on a second one right now, so.
So not first and only, but first among many to come?
Fingers crossed.
So we here at the Writers Center, at least many of us, really, really adore cartoons. So the subject matter was really appealing to us. So what cartoon most inspired you while you were working on this project?
Oh boy, I'm a huge fan of Adult Swim.
Yes.
So more than likely, Squidbillies.
Okay.
Which is fantastic, yes. I mean, just the concept itself, a group of family of squids living in the North Georgia mountains. I mean, you know, hilarity ensues.
I'm from the Atlanta area, so I also appreciate the specific culture of that. So, all right, well, thank you so much for coming out. Please share a passage of your book with us.
Okay, thank you, Zach. I'm honored to be here. I just want to thank the Neal and Barbara and the Writers Center for hosting me. This is lovely. So I'll read a short excerpt from the Animators, and it's from the very beginning of the novel. Introduction to Sketch. Introduction to Sketch was held in Preble Hall, a building Professor McIntosh called Ballister's dirtiest secret during our first class. Preble was an ancient, pipe-clanking fortress on the edge of campus with heating problems, leaky ceilings, and those 1930s wall radiators we used to melt crayons on in grade school.
You pay $50,000 a year to attend this institution, he said, and they stick you in a hovel for 4 years. It's because they hate art. The tuition comment didn't hold much weight for me. I was on scholarship. My peers talked about skiing in Aspen and summers in the Hamptons. Ballister was their safety school when Stanford and Duke eluded them. They spoke with the opaque, offhand world knowledge of the privileged. My first weekend there, I watched a girl at a party barf into a $500 Coach bag. Terrified of the cafeteria's clamor, I had taken to eating 3 meals of ramen noodles a day in my dorm room. I went to Ballister because of the visual arts program, and because they'd given me their poor Appalachian Kid scholarship, and because it was as far away from home as I could manage. I had chosen art because I needed something to make use of the bright lights that had existed in my head for as long as I could remember my fervent neon wish to be someone else. In high school, I sampled my way up and down the artistic spectrum methodically, like the good student I was, hoping I'd land on something that sparked me. I sketched, I constructed shadow boxes, I threw some rudimentary pots, trying a little of everything, committing seriously to nothing. Too scared at that point to put myself at stake for fear of failure. The revelation may be that I had nothing to give. I had yet to encounter anything that made that risk seem worthwhile. I came to Ballister hoping that being there would put an end to my floundering, that I would finally buckle down and find what I was supposed to make, and that it would mean something. I had taken the Amtrak train 22 hours out of Maysville, Kentucky to the tiny upstate New York town in which Ballister was located. Ballister was, I was surprised to learn, not too terribly removed from Canada. My parents' geographic sense of the North wasn't much better than mine. They didn't believe me at first when I told them I was 5 hours away from New York City and hence out of harm's reach. Before I left, my father cleared his throat and thumped me on the back like I was another man. My mother gave me a fierce hug, something with a degree of pain to it, and said with her chin hooked over my shoulder, "Now don't you come back pregnant." My parents met working in a factory that made lawnmower parts. The brand's claim to fame. George Jones had once drunkenly straddled its luxury model while pursued by the Texas State Police. They were resigned to their jobs, to each other, and to us, their children, who had all the fish sticks and Nintendo we needed. They watched Wheel of Fortune with 3 feet of space between them on the couch. They fought often and loudly. Neither had gone to college. They hoped I would become something useful, like a CPA. The closest I'd come to finding something that lit me up was in a summer gifted and talented program just before my senior year. In an art course there, I made a graphic novella of the night my mom threw an ottoman at my dad, laboring over how the glass patio doors shattered, shards tumbling in an arc of beauty into the green holler bottom below. I painted a textured oil backdrop to simulate the night air wadding itself into a tornado, the horror of '89, which touched down that very night in regions of East Kentucky, West Virginia, and the Golden Triangle of Kingsport, Johnson City, and Bristol, Tennessee. The instructor, upon seeing it, complimented me, but grimaced. Said, "I like the little cartoons, but how about we fit your skills into a more serious framework?" And she pushed a pamphlet for architecture school at me. McIntosh scared me as much as the rest of Ballister did. He was a serious artist, or had been at one point, a sort of '80s gallery darling whose decline had acted as a chute into teaching, a profession for which he had no real passion. "Oh yeah, McIntosh is intense," said the senior VA major who'd given me a tour at orientation. But McIntosh was more than just intense. He was a carnivore who loved to eviscerate freshmen, a real crinkle of joy seaming his mouth as he did. We were instructed to bring a sketch to the first class for discussion, and McIntosh made a blonde with perfect posture, daughter of a D.C. diplomat, tear up when he put her sketch of a woman striding down a crosswalk on the projector. I want you to pay attention here, he told us. This is a case in point as to the importance of exactness in your line work and the price paid when you become sloppy. He took his laser pointer, made circles around the figure's smudged face. What a deeply confusing expression. This woman looks constipated. Was that your intention, Margaret? He put his laser pointer down as she began to sniffle. Well, don't feel discouraged. This is Ballister. There's always room for one more pre-law student. I felt lucky when he glanced at my sketch, an old lady who'd ridden the train with me until Charlottesville, Virginia, asleep with an open bag of Planters in her hand, wrinkled his nose and said only, in bad need of discipline. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kayla. Thank you, Neal. Thank you, Barbara. We're going to have one more video that features Kayla later because she's performing at the Writer Center Live event later this evening. So please come back and check out that video as well for more of Kayla and her marvelousness. So thank you so much, everyone.